Issues top of minds for Canadians. Want to break it down for us? Pollster Nik Nanos from Nanos Research joins me from Ottawa. Nick, happy Saturday to you. Great to see you.
Great to see you too.
A topic you and I have talked about a lot now. COVID-19 right on the minds of Canadians, but break it down for us in terms of what specifically they're concerned about.
Well, you know, in the weekly Nanos tracking, what's absolutely clear is now we are seeing a second spike when it comes to concern about the coronavirus. You know, back in March, it hit as high as 50% as a top national issue concern. Now it's ramped up to 35%, and who knows whether it'll continue as Canadians are fixated and worried about a potential second wave of the pandemic. And then in second place, we have jobs at 14 and healthcare, which why don't we just put that in the COVID basket because it's all of the same thing at 11%. So what we're seeing is a second spike of concern related to the coronavirus and Canadians firmly being fixated on that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right. Like you say rightly, under that COVID umbrella, you know, jobs, businesses, you know, healthcare, et cetera, mental health and whatnot. And speaking of businesses, as we've been seeing the uptick in numbers across the country, more pullback from officials. We're now closing again, once again, non-essential businesses. We're in this second wave now, so restaurants, casinos, gyms, et cetera. So talk to us about how Canadians are feeling about that and now this, you know, having to pull back.
Well, you know, a recent poll that we did with CTV News, you know, when we asked Canadians about closing non-essential businesses again, we found that about 70% supported or somewhat supported closing businesses, while only about 29% opposed or somewhat opposed, which means that Canadians are generally good with locking down non-essential businesses in order to fight this potential second wave. The interesting thing, highest support for closing non-essential businesses, province of Ontario, lowest support for closing non-essential businesses, the Prairie provinces. So it's not even right across the board when we look at the regional numbers.
I mentioned mental health, and we know that's a very big issue currently and will continue to be one after we eventually get through this. What are you hearing?
You know, in the research that we've done, when we ask Canadians whether their mental health is better or worse compared to pre-pandemic levels, only about 11% of Canadians say it was better or somewhat better, while a whopping 40%, or 4 out of every 10 Canadians, said it was worse or somewhat worse. That means that, you know, when you net everything out, people are 4 times more likely to say that their mental health is worse now than before the pandemic. So we've got like the economic crunch. We also have a mental health crunch. And it's like a 1-2 punch that is really shaking up a lot of Canadians.
It really is. A lot of health experts saying that's going to be the post-pandemic crisis dealing with the mental health effects. Lastly, before I let you go, let's talk about the costs here. Federal borrowing during this pandemic. Canadians basically split over this one.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the thing is the deficit, I think people are estimating, is going to be a whopping $350 billion. You know, when we ask Canadians about a path forward for the deficit, they're divided. This could be the new dividing line. About 36% are good with spending whatever's necessary to fight the pandemic, plus extra spending on social programs, while only 30% want some sort of restraint, and another 29% say, let's just spend what we need to spend on the pandemic. This could be the new dividing line as Canadians are divided on what should be done on the deficit in order to fight the pandemic.
It's incredible. Imagine if we were heading to an election right now. This would be a very interesting conversation to see where things would shift. But a great deal of frustration and desperation out there, certainly. Thank you for breaking down the numbers for us, Nick. Nanos Research Pollster Nik Nanos. Great to see you as always. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
You too. Bye-bye.